A trend recently in flashlight inventing has been to use bigger 26650 lithium-ion batteries to get insane levels of brightness out of compact lights and also sell more flashlights. This means the light size increases a little bit, but you can have burst modes and turbo modes over 2000 lumens in a light not a whole lot bigger than an 18650 flashlight. And bam, now you have another flashlight you didn't know you needed. The Acebeam EC50 is an impressive light in this category. You'll remember I recently reviewed the Olight R50 Seeker, which is the Olight version of this light. Also, most impressive. Both are 26650 sized lights, that's the battery size, with a single emitter that can pump out over 2000 lumens. So let's discuss. And by discuss, I mean I'll talk at you for about 10 minutes, or actually rather 2 minutes and 30 seconds like my analytics suggest before you watch a tabletop. The EC50 is an aluminum constructed light that uses a big Cree XHP70 emitter. It's available in a neutral tinted 5000 Kelvin version reviewed here, or a cool white 6000 Kelvin tinted version, which I'm not reviewing. It's got hard anodization, some knurling, you're like, cool, knurling, some cooling fins, and just other flashlight stuff like the glass lens and an orange peel reflector. It comes with a holster, a lanyard, spare O-rings, a spare tail cap switch cover, a protected 26650 battery so you don't have to buy one, and some recyclable stuff like a box and manuals. Here are the basic dimensions. Hell, why not just throw them up next to the Olight R50 Seeker because I like creating more graphics. Just so you can see how they're different or similar, their sizes, weight, I don't know, whatever. Cool. The light has 5 regular modes, a burst mode and a blinker. Here are my figures and ace beams. First is Firefly, which is a good level for a light that can pump out over 2000 lumens. That's often missing on bigger lumen lights. Then there's Low. Then there's Mid. And then there's High. Oh yeah, Turbo. Oh, sorry, Burst, which again you have to hold down a button to achieve. And then of course you got Strobe, man. Okay, how about that UI? The EC50 uses a tail cap for on and off and a 2-stage side switch for mode selection. It has mode memory, so whatever mode you were on before you turned it off on the tail cap, it'll be on that mode when you turn it on. Okay, so turn it on. Now the side switch is a 2-stage switch like a camera shutter switch or some Nitecore flashlights. Half presses advanced modes from Firefly all the way to Turbo, and it loops over and over again. To get to Ultra or the burst mode, press and hold it down all the way. When you release the switch, it goes into whatever mode you were on before the burst mode. Since this has a 2-button design, you can have momentary on whatever mode you like, even strobe. You're like, oh, strobe, tell me more. Yeah, strobe is accessed by pressing halfway down and holding for more than 1 second. To get out of strobe, a quick half press does the trick. When exiting strobe, it always goes back to Firefly. One thing to note, the 2-stage switch requires a bit of pressure to get at least halfway down. It's not an overly feathery switch. Not difficult though, so you'll need to get used to it so you don't press all the way down and get to Ultra, like I did the first few times I tried it. Okay, the paint drying, folks. First is runtime on strobe. Oh, okay, I mean turbo. And you get a jump down at about 2 minutes in, like a lot of lights do, because the lights get hot and they're really not that big. Then it runs steadily for over 1 hour and 30 minutes, or actually about 1 hour and 30 minutes. It then runs at a much lower level for 1 hour before the idiot blink starts, and about 2 hours and 30 minutes in. The idiot blink is a flashlight's way of saying, hey mofo, charge me. Although I'd argue once it starts stepping down, it's always a good idea to charge it anyway. Next we'll get high. That's right, I brought it back. You get a steady light for nearly 3.5 hours, then lower levels for a little over 1 hour more before the idiot blink kicks in at about 4 hours and 40 minutes in. It shuts off due to low voltage protection at about 5 hours in. I assume it's cell protection. I have no way to test a light with an unprotected cell because they're too short. So let's just play it safe and use protected cells in this light. And now medium. This runs a long time at about 300 lumens. You get about 8.5 hours of pretty steady light before it drops down quite a bit. Idiot blink hits at about 9 hours and 20 minutes in, and it shuts off at about 9 hours and 35 minutes in. Using different batteries and different conditions will yield different runtimes, of course, but you knew that already, right? Right? Okay, beam shots. Here are the lights I'll be doing along with the EC50. Some old favorites and some new favorites, or your new favorites. Maybe not my new favorites. How about that TM03? Look for that review soon. You're like, what the hell's a TM03? My estimations of overall output are on the screen. All lights are set to their maximum per flashlight science. First is the EC50. We'll do turbo first, and then burst a second later. And leave it on burst for the whole beam shot section. The EC50 is not a throwy light. It has about the throw of a basic everyday carry light because of the shallow orange peeled reflector. It's just a little bigger and a whole lot brighter than a regular everyday carry light. This isn't for long range spotting though, it's just a lot of light in your immediate area. And here it is compared to the ultra mode, which is about 2500 lumens or 800 lumens more. Remember, even if a light is twice as bright, it still doesn't look like that to your eyes. So we're gonna stay on ultra mode for the rest of this runtime test. Alright, so next is the R50 Seeker, which is sort of a direct competitor light to this one. Both have high modes of over 2000 lumens. The difference is you have to hold down the button on the EC50 while the R50 has a 2-minute timed step down. The R50 is about twice as throwy. I prefer the tint on the EC50 better because it's, more neutral, although the R50 really isn't super cool. And on to the TM03. This light tested way brighter than the manufacturer specs. When this happens, I always question my testing skills. Although the throw is about what you would expect according to Nitecore specs. You can tell just by the beam shots, though, it's well over 300 lumens brighter than the EC50's 2500 lumens. The TM03 doesn't have the wide variety of modes the EC50 does, though, and it's cool. It's a cool white tint. Yep. All right, next is the Convoy L6. It's a much bigger and throwier light. It uses two 26650 cells. It has a more neutral-ish tint too. Okay, so we're there, and we're going back to the EC50 on Ultra for a second or 5, and now we have a smaller light, the EC4GT. It's actually quite a bit throwier than the EC50, although it's about the same size and outputs about half the amount of light. This is to give you a little bit of context. The light can be dimmer and focus the light more efficiently. That's not to say a floody light is bad. They just do different things with the light. Okay? All right, moving on. Let's talk about some other stuff and wrap it up. The EC50 comes with an Acebeam 5000 milliamp hour cell. The cell is about 70.5 millimeters long. Shorter, unprotected cells will not make contact inside the battery tube. I tried a few unprotected cells I had, and none of them would work. There seems to be a little amount of battery rattle from side to side, so the battery tube diameter should be able to accommodate cells of slightly larger diameters. The light is waterproof and dustproof to IPX8 standards, so rain, snow, and up to 2 meters of water. So yeah, 2 meters, not for prolonged periods. It's not a diving light. It's drop proof to 1.2 meters. So, if you're like me and you drop things a lot, then that should work. Sorry, it sounds like we're getting into an awkward conversation here. I can't say if I prefer this or the R50 more. That light has more throw, although it's still not a ton more throw. This light is available in neutral tints. I like the UI of the EC50 a little bit better, and the addition of a firefly mode also makes me sort of happy. And I'd best describe the tint as an eggshell or an off-white creamy tint. Somebody asked me to start describing tints, so, well, that's my description of a tint. And as far as my camera or eyes can tell, there is no visible PWM on any mode. You can get this and a few other Acebeams at Best Light IO, and a big thanks to them for providing this light for review and comparison. If you like this review, give the video a big thumbs up, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to buy the light, buy it via the link in the description. Hey, thanks for watching.